down? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at 6.7. We're going to graph linear inequalities. This is very similar to us graphing equations. It's just a little thing about shading and about a dotted line versus solid line. Okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is a linear inequality in an x and y value can be written in any of these forms, where a, b, and c are given numbers. An ordered pair, x, y, is the solution of a linear inequality. If the inequality is true, when the values of an x and y are substituted into the inequality. So we're going to try one of those first. So we've got the equation 2x minus 3y is greater than or equal to negative 2. And we want to figure out which one of these ordered pairs is a solution. Which one do you want to try first, A, B, or C?
C. I
might try A first, and the reason why I would try A first is because it's the easiest. You got zeros, right? What's anything times 0?
0.
0. So 2 times 0 minus 3 times 0 is greater than or equal to negative 2. 2 times 0 is?
2. 0.
0. Minus 3 times 0, which is 0. So is 0 greater than or equal to negative 2? Yeah. So right there, that's our solution, is A. Okay, it's a true solution.
So it could have been B2,
It could have been any of those things. If you plug them in, you will find that none of the others work except A. But we won't waste our time doing all that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to example 2. We're going to graph. Okay. Let's look at example 2. Example 1 was A, 0, 0. Okay. We've got x is less than negative 2. Could you guys graph x equals negative 2?
Yeah.
What would you do? You would go to which axis? The x or the y?
The X.
The x, and you would go left 2, and you would draw a line up and down, right? Well, now we're going to graph x is less than 2. All that means, is it underlined? It's less than, not less than or equal to, right? It's just less than. Yeah. So that means we're going to do a dotted line. Okay, and now we're going to figure out which side to shade. Okay, this is the new stuff. I'm going to plug in the point 0, 0. If it's true, I'll shade that side. If it's false, I'll shade the other one. So is 0 ever less than negative 2? Would you rather have no money, or would you rather owe me $2?
No
You'd rather have no money, right? So this is not true. 0 is not less than negative 2. This is false. All right, since it's false, we're going to shade the opposite side. Okay, let me go over one more time what we did. We graphed x is less than negative 2 by going over on the x-axis, negative 2. We drew a dotted line because it's not underlined. Then we plugged in 0 for x to see which side of the line we're going to shade. It was not true, so we shaded the side that does not include 0, 0. Ready to try one a little harder?
Is it only 0?
We're usually going to plug in 0 to see if it works or not. Yes. All right. So let's look at example 3. Okay, the first thing I'm going to ask you about example 3, is it in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b?
No.
No. So what 2 steps do we have to do to get it in y equals mx plus b form? Yes, Chase? So first we minus 2x from both sides. These cancel and we get negative y is greater than or equal to negative 2x minus 2. Then what do we do? What's in front of that y still? A negative. And we know there's an imaginary 1 right here. Divide everything by negative 1. What happens when you divide by a negative? You flip the inequality sign. Yeah. All right. Now we're going to graph this. Who knows? Who remembers where we start? Positive 2 on which axis? The y. So I go up 2, and I put a dot. What does this 2 in front of the x mean? Up 2 over 1. Good. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Or you could go down 2 over negative 1, down 2 over negative 1. I'm going to make it go across the whole thing. All right. Is it going to be a solid line or a dotted line? And how do you know? Solid because it's got that line under it. It's got the equal to part.
What is that, up 2 over 1?
to see if it works. So I'm going to plug in a 0 for an x and a 0 for a y. So I did 0 is less than or equal to 2 times 0 plus 2. What's 2 times 0? What's 0 plus 2? Is 2 ever greater than or equal to 0? That's always true, right? So we shade the side that includes the 0. How are you guys feeling about this? Okay, so first you get it in slope-intercept form. You graph the line, decide if it's dotted or solid line, and then you plug in 0 to figure out where you shade. So there's 4 steps. Okay, you ready for example 4?
Yeah.
Please raise your hands if you think you can get this equation in slope-intercept form. I'm not going to call on anybody. Raise your hand if you think you can do it. Could you get this equation in slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. Okay. So those of you that can't, you need to pay attention really carefully because your whole homework is about this stuff. So I need y by itself. So I'm going to subtract x. These cancel and I get y is greater than negative x plus 3. All right. Who thinks they can put the first dot on the graph? Who thinks they can put the first dot on the graph from this?
Ooh, it's gonna be 3 over. It's gonna be 3 over 1.
It's gonna be on the y-axis. You put a 3. You go up 3. Now you go down 1 over 1 because that's the slope. So down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. What's the opposite way?
Up 1.
Over negative 1. Up 1 over negative 1. Now, is it going to be dotted or solid? And how do you know? Dotted because it's not underlined. There's no equal to. So we're just going to leave it looking just like that. Okay, are you ready? What is the next part? What do I have to figure out? I have to figure out the shading, right? So I'm going to plug in 0, 0. Is 0 greater than negative 0 plus 3? Is 0 bigger than 3? No, this is a false statement. So which side do I shade on? Do I shade on the part that includes 0, 0 or the other side? The other side.
Ms. Murphy, how do you go on a website?
You go to it, it'll give you algebra or geometry, and you click on algebra. And then it'll show little pictures that look like little TVs. And you click on it and you can play the lesson on it. Okay, we've got 2x minus y is greater than or equal to negative 2. Who can tell me my first step to getting y equals mx plus b form? Marcel? Minus 2x, good. Who can tell me the next step to get this in y equals mx plus b form? Divide everything by negative 1. And this becomes y is less than or equal to 2x plus 2. Okay, I want everybody right now to try on their own to graph this equation. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you put your first dot at 2 on the y-axis, and then you went up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, or down over negative 1, down over negative 1. All right, is this supposed to be solid or dotted? Solid. Okay, now we plug in 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 2 times 0 plus 2? What's 2 times 0? Is 0 less than or equal to 2? Yes. So we shade this side.
Wait, how do you know what side you should?
That's why I'm plugging in 0. So I put my dot right here on 0, and then I plug in 0. And if it is a true statement like this is, that means I shade over 0. If it's a false statement, like example 4 was, I shade on the opposite side. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what should you be taking out right now? Your writing.